You think you can spot dangerous people. You think manipulators are obvious, that psychopaths look like movie villains, that narcissists wear their selfishness on their sleeves. Here's the brutal truth that's going to shatter your worldview. The most dangerous people in your life right now look completely normal. They're charming, helpful, maybe even the person you trust most. And every single day, they're systematically destroying your reality without you realizing it. There are 5 specific signs that separate these psychological predators from normal people. These aren't random behaviors. These are calculated strategies that make you think you're the crazy one while they harvest your energy, resources, and sanity like emotional vampires. But here's what's going to blow your mind. The FBI figured this out decades ago. Criminal profilers, forensic psychologists, ancient philosophers, they all identified the same patterns that you're about to learn. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 hidden signs you need to recognize immediately if you want to stop being everyone's favorite victim and start protecting yourself like someone who actually matters. And I'm warning you, when you start seeing these patterns, you're going to realize some people in your life have been slowly poisoning your self-confidence and peace of mind for years. Good, that means you're finally waking up. The first sign is predatory charm that feels too perfect to be real. You know that person who seems to understand you better than you understand yourself? Who mirrors your interest with laser precision? Who says exactly what you need to hear? Who makes you feel like you found your soulmate after 2 conversations? That's not connection, that's hunting. Listen to yourself when you describe them to others. They're perfect. They get me completely. It's like they can read my mind. Your brain is screaming warnings that you're ignoring because the attention feels so good. Here's what's actually happening. They're studying you like a scientist studies a lab rat. Every conversation is data collection. Every shared interest is strategic mirroring. Every compliment is bait designed to make you emotionally dependent on their validation. FBI behavioral analysts call this predatory charm because it's not a personality trait. It's a hunting technique. Watch how their charm disappears when they don't need something from you. Notice how it switches on and off based on who's watching and what they want. Real charisma is consistent. Predatory charm is a performance that ends the moment you're no longer useful, but predatory charm is just their opening move. The second sign reveals their emotional emptiness, and this one will make your skin crawl. They have completely inappropriate emotional responses to everything. They smile slightly when you tell them tragic news. They explode with rage over minor inconveniences. They describe traumatic events with the same tone they'd use to discuss the weather. You've probably made excuses for this. They're just processing differently. They're not good with emotions. They're probably overwhelmed. Stop. You're watching someone who literally cannot feel emotions the way normal humans do. Their brain is wired differently. What you're seeing isn't emotional immaturity or stress, it's neurological emptiness. I watched someone describe their father's death with complete detachment while getting visibly angry that their coffee was cold. That's not grief processing. That's a broken emotional system that can't distinguish between genuine tragedy and minor annoyance. When you see this pattern, you're not dealing with someone who's emotionally damaged. You're dealing with someone who's emotionally absent. Their emotional emptiness leads directly to the third sign, and this one turns your compassion into their weapon. They become professional victims with elaborate persecution stories that position them as innocent sufferers deserving your protection, loyalty, and resources. Every story follows the same pattern. They were exceptional in some way. Others were jealous. They were betrayed despite their goodness, and now they need your help to overcome this terrible injustice. These aren't random sob stories. These are precision-engineered narratives designed to bypass your rational thinking and trigger your protective instincts. You stop evaluating their behavior and start defending them against imaginary enemies. You become their personal army fighting battles that don't exist while they sit back and collect the benefits of your misguided loyalty. Here's the trap. Their victim stories contain subtle inconsistencies, but they create such strong emotional pull that questioning them feels wrong. You feel guilty for doubting someone who's been through so much. That guilt is exactly what they're counting on. You've become their emotional support human, not their friend. Once they have your sympathy, they deploy the fourth sign that reveals their true parasitic nature. They systematically extract everything valuable from your life while giving nothing meaningful in return. They don't just borrow money, they create elaborate financial emergencies. They don't just need help moving, they need you to reorganize their entire life. They don't just want emotional support, they want you to become their unpaid therapist, career counselor, and personal assistant. But here's what makes this truly sinister. They make the extraction feel natural, even flattering. You're so good at this. I don't know what I'd do without you. You're the only one who understands. They're not complimenting your abilities. They're identifying your resources and creating dependency narratives that make you feel special for being exploited. Track the actual give and take ratio in these relationships. You'll discover a pattern that would make a parasite jealous. They take your time, energy, money, connections, skills, and emotional labor while providing nothing but problems, drama, and the occasional crumb of validation to keep you hooked. We've covered 4 critical signs, but the 5th one is the most disturbing because it reveals their true motivation, something far more twisted than simple selfishness or manipulation. They engage in recreational destruction. They deliberately harm others for minimal gain or pure entertainment, revealing a fundamental enjoyment of suffering that normal people can't comprehend. They create elaborate conflicts between friends for no reason. They spread devastating rumors with surgical timing. They reveal secrets specifically to cause maximum damage. They systematically test boundaries with small cruelties to see what you'll tolerate before escalating to bigger violations. Most disturbing, they target the most vulnerable: children, animals, elderly, or those already struggling. Not for any gain, but because defenseless targets provide easier suffering with less consequence. This isn't someone being insensitive or going through a rough patch. This is someone whose brain rewards them when they witness pain. They're not just making bad choices, they're operating with completely different neurological equipment that makes your suffering genuinely pleasurable to them. Now that you recognize these 5 signs, let's discuss how to protect yourself when you can't escape their influence completely. The most effective strategy is what psychologists call the gray rock method. You become so boring and unresponsive that they voluntarily seek more stimulating targets. Here's how it works. Show zero emotional reaction to their provocations, compliments, threats, or drama. Share absolutely minimal information about your life, plans, or feelings. Become completely predictable and uninteresting. Respond to their manipulation attempts with the same energy you'd use to discuss paint drying. Okay, I see. That's interesting. Your face should show the same expression whether they're praising or insulting you. Remember, they feed on emotional reactions like psychological vampires. No emotional response means no reward for their manipulation attempts. When you stop providing entertainment, they'll eventually move on to easier targets who still react to their games. But here's what's going to happen when you start implementing these strategies. At first, they're going to escalate. They'll try harder to get emotional reactions. They might become more aggressive, more charming, or more pathetic. This is called an extinction burst, their final desperate attempt to regain control over you. Some people in your life are going to be confused and probably angry when you stop being their emotional supply source. They're used to you absorbing their problems, providing free therapy, and accepting their manipulation as normal relationship dynamics. When you suddenly start acting like someone who values themselves, they're going to push back hard. Good. That means you're finally growing a backbone. The people who truly care about you will respect your new boundaries. They'll appreciate that you're no longer a pushover. They'll value your time more because it's no longer unlimited. Your relationships will become healthier because they'll finally be balanced. But the people who only valued you for what you provided, they're going to hate your transformation. They'll call you selfish for having boundaries. They'll say you've changed, that you're not the same person. They're right. You're not the same person. You're no longer their emotional support animal, their free bank, their unpaid therapist, or their validation dispenser. Here's the most important insight. These 5 signs: predatory charm, emotional emptiness, strategic victimhood, parasitic extraction, and recreational destruction form a constellation that separates true psychological predators from merely difficult people. The key is understanding that they're not just making different choices. They're operating with fundamentally different neurological equipment. Their behavior isn't personal, but it is predatory. They don't target you because you're weak. They target you because you have something they want: empathy, resources, energy, or simply the capacity to feel emotions they can't experience themselves. Knowledge is your strongest protection. By recognizing these patterns early, you can avoid becoming deeply entangled with someone neurologically incapable of genuine care or empathy. If you've already experienced this type of manipulation, remember, your inability to comprehend their behavior wasn't naivety. It was your healthy brain struggling to understand someone wired completely differently from you. The most reliable protection isn't becoming less trusting of everyone. It's becoming more aware of these specific patterns that signal genuine danger. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Document everything and prioritize your safety over their feelings. If this video opened your eyes to patterns you've been missing, hit subscribe, hype it if you like it, and drop a comment about which sign you've encountered most often. Next week, I'm revealing workplace tactics that destroy careers, and the week after that, relationship red flags that save lives. While you are here, be sure to check out my other videos, and some are included in the video description. Remember, you have just as much right to exist as anyone else. Stop apologizing for taking up space in the world, and start commanding the respect you deserve.